Released back in 1998 and developed by Insomniac Games, Spyro the Dragon was a powerhouse platformer title for the PlayStation 1. It developed a fan following like its rival series Crash Bandicoot. It went on to have 2 sequels on the same platform in 1999 with Spyro 2 Ripto's Rage, and 2000 with Spyro Year of the Dragon. Year of the Dragon would mark the last time Insomniac Games would touch the series, as they went on to the PS2 with their next series, Ratchet & Clank. Since then, Spyro has had many different games developed by different studios. However, it wasn't what fans of the series were hoping for. From shoddy releases, to reboots, to cash grabs, fans gave up hope of ever having a classic style Spyro ever returning. This all changed, however, when its rival series Crash Bandicoot received a new game in the form of a remake of its original PlayStation 1 trilogy for modern consoles. After the massive success of the Crash N'Sane Trilogy, fans regained hope and begged for the same treatment to happen to Spyro. In April of 2018, their prayers were answered with the reveal of the Spyro Reignited Trilogy, a remake of the classic Spyro trilogy for modern consoles and PC developed by Toys for Bob. On November 13, 2018, Spyro Reignited Trilogy released for both PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, and almost a year later, it has saw a release on both Nintendo Switch and PC. The Spyro Trilogy is a series of platformer collectathon titles starring the quadrupedal dragon Spyro. Spyro, along with Sparks the Dragonfly, venture across the many realms found in each of the titles. In Spyro 1, he ventures through the Dragon Realms, rescuing all the dragons that have been turned into statues by the evil Nasty Gnorc and his Gnorc army. In Spyro 2, he finds himself transported to the world of Avalar to help Allura and her friends liberate their world from the evil tyrant Ripto. In Spyro 3, Spyro and Hunter journey to the Forgotten Realms to rescue dragon eggs that were stolen by the sorceress apprentice Bianca, working for an evil entity known as the Sorceress. The trilogy is a series of platformers where you will navigate and explore different environments, collecting gems and whatever that game's collectible is. Spyro is armed with a charge and flame breath attacks to beat enemies with, and he can also glide around to reach distant platforms. Though in Spyro 2 and 3, he has an additional hover move that increases the distance he can reach. Sparks acts as your health indicator, where he glows a certain color based on how much health you have. He will go from a bright yellow indicating full health, to blue, then to green, and if you're hit while he's green, he will vanish, leaving you with one more hit before you lose a life. You replenish your health by attacking small animals and objects in each world, which releases a butterfly. Sparks will eat this butterfly to regain a color, and if he eats a blue glowing butterfly, he will regain a life. There are some levels which contain power-ups that add to the navigation of each level, such as a high-speed charge and flight power-up. With all the hype behind this remake, we have to wonder if it was really worth the effort to remake these titles, or if nostalgia goggles have clouded people's memories. For the purpose of this review, I will be reviewing the recently released PC version. Now, let's look at what worked in this remake with the good. Let's get this out of the way. Spyro Reignited Trilogy looks fantastic. Everything has gotten a complete makeover to give it the feel of a Pixar or DreamWorks animated movie. On the PC, there's many different graphical options at your disposal, including getting rid of the motion blur and uncapping the frame rate. When I started capturing gameplay Reignited, I used custom above medium settings that allowed for a somewhat smooth 60 frames per second. After upgrading my graphics card for Spyro 2 and 3, I was able to play on Ultra with 60 frames per second, and I have to say, if your PC is strong enough, I highly recommend this setting. This game is a visual treat on Ultra. Another thing I like about the game is the music. When playing a collectathon, music is very crucial as you'll be spending a lot of time in the various levels collecting various things. Reignited comes with a remastered soundtrack that was worked on with help from the original trilogy's composer, Stuart Copeland. All the remastered tracks sound pretty good and come with dynamic music effects, where the music will change depending on what you're doing. If you're moving around, the music is very upbeat. But remain idle for a bit, and the music slows down for a more peaceful rendition. If the remastered tracks aren't to your taste, or if you're feeling nostalgic, I'm happy to report that the original music is also available to switch to from the options menu. This should be a standard for all classic game remakes going forward. The controls are a bit different and take some getting used to. Once you do, you'll be flying, gliding, and charging naturally. Spyro 1 is a pure platformer with few character interactions aside from the short interactions with each of the dragons you rescue. One addition I like in Spyro 1 is that all the dragons have unique designs compared to the original where they shared mostly similar designs. Each design is reflective of the world they're located in, such as the Artisan world having dragons who are painters and sculptors, and the Dream Reaper world having dragons who are wizards. Spyro 1 is consistent on how gameplay is styled, with you going into each level, fighting enemies, collecting treasure, and freeing dragons. There are also speedway levels to take part in, and a few boss battles, but it all stays consistent throughout your journey. Thankfully, the game has variety in the different environments and platforming you do in each level, which requires you to think outside the box to figure out how to reach certain collectibles. In Spyro 2, the developers attempted to add some variety in the franchise by introducing NPCs in each of the levels you go to. I really like this addition as it makes levels feel more alive as they're inhabited by different creatures and people. Another thing I really like are the intro and outro cutscenes that are often humorous and add to the charm of each level you explore. Along with these NPCs are characters you will continue to interact with over the course of the game, including Elora, Hunter, the Professor, and the rage-inducing moneybags. Another way the developers added variety was with the minigames and side quests introduced in Spyro 2, which offers something different gameplay-wise to break up the platforming you do. These can range from fetch quests to utilizing power-ups that enhance Spyro's abilities, or other things. I find the ones that enhance Spyro's abilities to be the most enjoyable, since it enhances the platforming aspects of the game, which isn't to say the other quests aren't good, but your mileage will vary with each one. In Spyro 3, I love both the cutscenes that add to the lore of the Spyro series, as well as the improved animations for both the NPCs and main characters of the games. I should also mention that unlike Spyro 1 and 2, which were fully developed by Toys for Bob, Spyro 3 was developed by Sunzado Games, who were known for remastering the Sly trilogy and developing Sly, Thieves in Time. I love the work they put into improving the animations for the NPCs and main characters, especially Moneybags' animations, which look to be finely crafted. There are also other playable characters in this game. Sheila the Kangaroo, who offers more standard platforming with higher jumps, Sergeant Bird, who offers verticality with his flying and shooting mechanics, Bentley the Yeti with his light beat-em-up style gameplay, Agent 9 the Monkey with his various shooting mechanics, and making his gameplay debut is Sparks with his top-down shooting gameplay. I feel the minigames and side quests were improved from Spyro 2, where there were more hits than misses this time around, though we'll talk more about that later. Adding to the variety of each game are the different skill points you can earn. These skill points can range from reaching certain platforms, to burning environmental objects, to even avoiding taking damage in boss battles. Collecting enough skill points will unlock the Art Gallery. Speaking of bosses, each of the games have a series of bosses you will face. In Spyro 1, they're part of the stage itself, while in Spyro 2, you will face them in arenas. I like how Spyro 2 and 3 handle the boss fights, which feel improved from the original game. In fact, playing through the trilogy, I love how you can see the improvements each sequel brought to the table. I should also point out that you do not have to collect everything to finish the main game's story. You'll run into roadblocks for sure, which will require you to backtrack and pick up more collectibles before you can progress. However, you will not need everything in order to challenge the final boss. Collecting everything does reward you with a bonus level at the end of each game. My favorite one is in Spyro 2, where you have a series of fun minigames to play to unlock the cutscene viewer. The best part is the permanent fireball power-up, which you can use at any time after collecting everything in the game. One last thing I should point out is that the cheat codes for the original game are present in Reignited Trilogy. Now you can play the game as big-headed green-colored Spyro. They even included a classic Spyro cheat code in case you weren't quite feeling the new design. Even though this game has a lot of love and callbacks to the original games, it doesn't mean it's perfect, and we'll be talking about what didn't work in this remake when we look at the bad. I mentioned how the dragons in Spyro 1 all have unique designs. Well, it only stops at their designs. In the original game, there were dragons that often repeated the same dialogue of, "Thanks for saving us, Spyro." Other than a couple of dragons that got a bit of added dialogue, the dragons who say that line are still present. Also, in Spyro 1, the lack of a hover function makes reaching certain platforms a bit uncertain, where Spyro tends to autocorrect his flight once he reaches the edge of a certain height. This becomes a bit of an issue, where this function sometimes kicks in, and other times it doesn't when you feel like it should. It's a minor inconvenience, but I feel I should point it out. Also, the boss fights in Spyro 1 are pretty lackluster, as they don't put up much of a fight compared to the sequels. Nasty Norse is especially pathetic, considering he's the final boss, and his boss fight looks like this. The new designs, while appreciated, are a bit of a mixed bag, especially in Spyro 2. Those intro and outro cutscenes lack a bit of the charm of the original, with some of the redesigns being detrimental to the cutscene's execution. Spyro 2 was the first game to introduce side quests and minigames, so there are some duds that feel more like padding in the game and end up not being fun. This extends into Spyro 3, where there are more minigames than before, though not all of them are fun to play. The skateboarding I found to be a big chore, especially in the bonus level of Spyro 3. I would honestly avoid doing the bonus stage in Spyro 3, because the skateboarding section there is full of frustrating glitches and the course level design is awful. On top of that, the reward for doing the stage is nothing. You get a cutscene, but that's it. No permanent power-ups. Nothing but dragon burps. I'm not joking. The other characters' gameplay may not be to your taste either, since they're much slower or feel kinda gimmicky. Especially in Agent 9's case, where it feels like a tech demo for Insomniac's next game series. Thankfully, these sessions don't overstay their welcome, and offer something new to try out. Performance-wise, the game runs smooth for the most part, but I do need to point out that the game freezes up when loading in levels, and feels a bit choppy until the level begins. This is most notable in Spyro 1, where there are no screen transitions from when Spyro enters a level through a portal and lands at the beginning of the level. Even with my new graphics card, this issue persists in Spyro 2 and 3. One last thing is that there are still some bugs and glitches present in the game, with enemies or objects sometimes clipping or getting stuck on the environment. Now with all that out of the way, it's time that I give the opinion. Despite my gripes with the games, I still enjoyed my playthrough of each title where I clocked in 5 to 6 hours of total game time with each title. Combined with the fact that this game is only $40, this is a lot of value you're getting with 3 games worth of content. Even if you're a fan of the original games, I still recommend picking up this game just to see how different things are in the game. If you have a younger family member who's into video games, this is the perfect purchase for them. Of the two versions, I would say I prefer the original game since they have a lot of charm that Reignited lacks, but that's not to say Reignited is by any means bad, just a bit different. Overall, you're getting the 3 games you loved as a kid with a fresh coat of paint. Now, it's time for my rating. I would give Spyro Reignited Trilogy this $5 footlong out of 10. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the next Infinite Backlog review. If you enjoyed today's review, feel free to check out some of our other videos and subscribe for more. You can also follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and our Facebook page. Once again, thank you for watching.